time?
50.
50. Hello, Facebook community. There's a face over there on the left that you might not have, or right, I guess, that you might not have seen for a little while, but she's shining over there. Oh, there, good sign. Right, I guess. Let me just get it to public. Shining over there. Oh, there. Okay, dump that and make sure it works. How are you, Anya? I'll let you get started.
I don't know. I'm so many emotions. I'm a little tired. I had some shitty wine last night, so because that's all I can drink. So I'm feeling that. I haven't had coffee. It's just been nonstop. I don't know what I'm in free fall. I'm in free fall.
And you had to go into your cocoon there for a little bit, and that's the last few days or whatever, and it was all good, and you honored yourself.
I went into my cocoon, and I honestly use weed for reflection, so I commandeered some, and just like, because like right now I'm like staying at my friend's house for the most part. She's been so kind, and like I don't want to be like taking advantage of that. She's awesome, but it's like you know, like I want her to have her space too. It's her life, her room, etc. So there's a little guilt that came up with that, and just being tired and not knowing what I'm doing.
That's a good place.
Yeah.
Does it feel scary? It just feels relaxed, isn't
it? It's relaxed for the most part. I can rest. Like my heart has more control right now than my ego, so I'm not as freaked out. But I do catch moments of being vulnerable.
Beautiful. Yeah. But it's the freaked out is just going back into your heart and letting it finish playing out so that you can go back to presence, right?
Yeah.
That's huge right now.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think that's wasted time or something bad going on or whatever, but it has nothing to do with that. It's all about this process of living in our heart always, and it's forcing. Literally, we're undefining ourselves right now. We talked a little bit about attachments. So attachments in my world are things. Okay, first let's explain it this way. In my body, my attachments are mostly in my right hip. And there's this pain. It's just like these hooks are in my fucking right hip and it's tight all the time. And I'm walking around with that sticking out. And these are all the things I'm shameful of, guilty of, didn't work out my life, wasn't happy with. Maybe it's parental attachments. Like I got to be nice to my mom or my dad, and I got to honor my brother and sister. Societal, like I got to work and pull my weight, and all this fucking definition of myself that's really holding me back. It's like an anchor that said, okay, I've agreed with this to fit in, and I'm a good person because I do it, and I'm pleasing others, and I've done my duty, maybe.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing all that stuff is rubbing up against the world right now to be let go. Because, well, we'll talk about my Tantra experience in a little bit, but that's an experience I had 3 years ago in a different group. And now it showed up again, lucky me, and it's all the same. But now new perspective can be had because I milked out all the lessons that were happening there, getting my integrity and figuring out people can blame me or call me out without my permission and stuff like that. I got to live through it. Now I'm looking at it in this new way, and I'm realizing I fucking shine light into everything, and whatever there's not integrity or whenever it's not there, it's as much a thing for me as it is for them, because they're looking to be called out. They're looking to be shone into the light and saying, okay, well, why did you do this? What trauma in you makes this acceptable? And then projection of trauma to other people so that you don't have to do your work. And once you start seeing all this kind of stuff, you start seeing everything for attachments and wounds and traumas, because that's the root of the control that we had placed in us. That's the root of how we were kept small. And that it was all in ourselves. I'm a rape victim. I'm an abuse victim. I had narcissistic family, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden now you can sit in that, and then you look at it and it's like, oh, victim. Okay, victim. I'm choosing victim. But it's really easy to be victim because I didn't have a choice. My parents did this. I've talked about this before, and I'm seeing a new perspective. I'm like, what the hell? And the more and more you see that you're a victim, you can't fix it. You can't change it. You can't do anything about it because it happened and it's already me and I'm there. When all of a sudden instead, it's like looking at it and saying, okay, there's a wounded little boy there. That wounded little boy believes that this is all there is having that level of love. And then that love's all twisted and all this kind of stuff, but it's not. It's now an awareness that's saying, okay, that was the most I could get to this point, but I'm a completely different person now. What can I ask for that's different now? I don't want narcissistic love. I don't want blame and shame and all this kind of stuff. I want love that feels bright and projected and heart-centered towards me, and I'm doing the same at the same time. So it's this shared balance. But before it was like, I got to give. So mom or dad or brother or sister or partner wants to feel good, but they never give any back because they were so wounded in their own. And all they ever got was what they got. And that's a cage. Does that resonate at all for you?
I think parts of it does. Like I had an experience with my friend who let me stay at her house over one night.
Mm-hmm.
And it was her parents' house. Her parents were out of town. And like, for whatever reason, like she raised her tone on me and it really pissed me off. And she started becoming tit for tat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I've done a lot for her emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
And like I've let her stay at my apartment in the past too. I didn't even bring that up, but like it got under my skin.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was kind of frozen. I didn't confront it. I was just like, I get it.
Shining light that she took as oppressive or forcing her to speak out or something. Is that possible?
Well, because she's already going through heartbreak, I guess, and she's just taking it on me because she like we're like family pretty much. That's our relationship. So like when you have family, you can show that ugly side. And
Okay, would you call that commiseration?
what is commiseration?
That's being miserable together. And she was looking for it, but maybe you shone a light into it so it wasn't misery anymore.
I shine a lot of light to her, and I know it triggers her.
And she didn't want that. She just wanted somebody to feel the same so that she felt in her victim validated.
Yeah.
So you said, well, what if you thought about it this way? Or what about that? Or whatever. And it was like, and it felt like pressure, but you were loving her.
Yeah. But as far as like attachments, a lot in my past for sure with family. Like, what is my dad gonna think?
Even having a home, even knowing when you're going back, even knowing all these things, living off of the kindness of others, those are all attachments.
Yeah.
And they're deep ones.
Yeah.
What would you say, what would you say is your biggest attachment you've let go of lately?
The result of trying to get something how I intend it to be. Like
Predetermination, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just controlling the result, like with a relationship. Um, today was the first day that like I just don't have any control and I feel so free.
Cool. But look at how predetermination and expectation is license for struggle and sadness.
Yeah, because you're not getting what story you fathomed with your ego.
Well, and we also set this thing that I'll be there when these things work out and I'm awakened and I'm complete my journey or whatever. And it just keeps bashing back to first base to start running around the bases again.
Yeah, it's like the ordinary moments are the ones that are the most extraordinary. And like you can't get to that big shiny thing that you desire, but you have to appreciate the little ordinary moments that take you to that thing.
And how critical is presence in that moment?
Very critical at all times.
And what were you doing before that was different?
Replaying old stories,
Mm-hmm.
future or past,
Mm-hmm.
and creating suffering.
And when You should have been present. And when you're present now, that feels so good, you were ate up by the brain going, blah, 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 what about tomorrow? What about this and that? I got to get a job and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You weren't present. So you were suffering because of expectations and what it should have been, etc.
Yeah.
Okay. So the attachments were feeding off you, or you were feeding them. I don't know what you want to call it.
Yeah.
Cool. So those were literally holding you back. So how different do you feel now? Are you in a cage versus was that before? What's now?
At this present moment, I don't feel that.
Cool.
But I'm turning on the light. I have felt that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Better.
So I'll leave it at that. Yeah, like I made this choice, whatever.
Mhm.
But it comes with some worries sometimes. So those are attachments.
Mm-hmm. And those are attachments. So it gives you an opportunity to look into the sadness, the scare, the, oh, what if I die? Or what if I don't have a home? Or what if I don't have love? Or whatever.
What if I go back?
Cool. And that used to be safety. What the hell?
Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah.
So how about letting in the money, letting in the opportunity, letting in a new place, letting in a new job, letting in those contacts to build a supportive community, whatever you want to call it there, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So before, where there was unworthiness, oh, I got to find a job, or I got to chase people, I got to find and do resumes, and I got to blah, 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 blah. Now all of a sudden just tear all those things away. Attachments, okay? People know me, people have heard of me, and they're going to ask for me now that they know they're in town or whatever. Because you can look underneath and it's like, fuck, all these levels of attachments that are keeping me from freely flowing and letting something better show up.
Yeah.
Cool. And I see that in attachment, it was kind of like a cage. It was like, okay, this is all I can do is if I date, this is the same thing that's going to happen 15 times before, and money and my clients showing up, and oh, what if it runs out? And then it does run out, and it's gathering into your manifestation and your creation, and you're fucked.
Yeah, it's like it occupies your field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how does it change your possibility by being in that place?
In the place of being attached or detached?
No, the new place, the presence
Oh,
you are known.
it's so much easier because you don't have to worry about anything. You just exist, you breathe,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like just a lot of acceptance. Are you okay? Oh,
Lots of stuff coming out of my throat today.
you have like nuts or something?
I don't know what it was. It's just there's so much coming out of my throat right now. I'm speaking my truth like you would not believe. So it's all good. I was telling Anya before we started that every time I see Anya or think of her, I think of Dora the Explorer now. Not that it's a child or whatever, but just all she's got is a backpack and her map going through the jungles. Maybe I'm Boots. I don't know.
Pretty much.
It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So
not for everyone.
Not pardon me, not for everyone, but how has it changed your confidence? How has it changed who you are as a being right now?
It's changed a lot, or I guess it's amplified the confidence and like my gratitude for the little things. Mm-hmm. And like for like the help I do receive. Because I think like we all kind of like don't want to be feeling helpless and like that we're a burden. Mm-hmm. So that's something that's come up that I was healing, I guess, or still dealing with. But so I was just like, okay, I was putting myself in like, okay, if I feel good being in the present, then what can I give to other people? And so I was like, okay, my friend mentioned she needed toothpaste, and I see that her trash can is full. So I'm going to clean out her trash can and I'm gonna buy her some toothpaste. And I'll just like do little things like that, like just tapping into
Mhm.
what people's needs are.
And look at the bigger things you gave, the insight into her wounding and all this kind of stuff, which maybe wasn't accepted, but it was a hugely powerful gift.
Different friend, but yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. But that's the levels.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's an exchange here as well. And all these things are all coming in and the balance is working out. It's just not monetary anymore.
Yeah, it's energetic. I mean, it's like the law of giving and receiving, pretty much.
And you're freely going into and you're freely accepting and seeing what shows up without judgment, without self-judgment. That is the worst one. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
So could you stay there as long as you wanted without feeling guilty and overusing friends and all those things if you just look a little higher?
Maybe. I mean, I'll have to get some new friends. I'll have to add on some new friends to the roster.
Or just have a place show up
Yeah,
or money shows up.
yeah.
It's that black bag on the side of the street. You never know what it'll be for.
True.
This is New York.
That's true.
You never know. Cool. So dancing in flow, in the river, in the unknown,
Yes,
and smiling from it and all that kind of stuff.
yes, yes. I danced in the river of the unknown yesterday.
So do you want to give the viewers a sample of how that feels inside your soul and just paint a picture for us with your words?
Yeah. So I follow, well, let's take it back. Like, you've introduced me to these concepts of just like awakened sexuality. And
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm like, fuck, this makes a lot of fucking sense. Like, it's, we talk about how love is inverted and it's like all control based and like, if this happens, then that needs to happen. So like if I have sex with him, then he needs to be my boyfriend and all of these conditions need to be met, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
And like I lived that way for so long. And like I was always, emotionally manipulating or using my tools to try to get what I want. I didn't even end up getting what I want because I was just fucking not
Tight.
getting
You're
it.
tight. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I wasn't even using my words to express what I wanted to begin with. Like I was too afraid. And
Mm-hmm.
so like, having our talks, like that kind of shifted me a bit and to take chances. So I definitely took a big chance that the old version of Anya would not take. And it's been fun. Like met this guy, met him a few months ago back in LA. He was in Brooklyn and you helped me like speak what I want to him and communicate that, which I don't think, women might be afraid to do. I think we're still stepping out of that fear, but yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was like, fuck it. Like, I don't have anything to lose. Whatever. Ask for what you want because you're going to lose if you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just been a process of that. And then yesterday I introduced this concept that you introduced me to, which is like have a 3 month trial. Like,
Mm-hmm. See what happens.
be openly intimate, don't run away, but see what happens. Explore it if there's a vibe. So I introduced this.
Mm-hmm. Cool. How did it feel?
It felt so cool because I've never done it before. And like, I don't think he's ever experienced that ever before.
And it
And
felt free, right?
it felt so free. And like, even this morning, he's like, I have no idea what's going on.
But it felt good and it felt really relaxed and
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
And that because how many times you wake up after spending a night with a person or whatever and you're like guilty and it's like, oh, where's this gonna lead and what's next? If that's free and you just say, I release you, what happens?
Yeah. Back into the present moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, of course, I was being a little weird. And like, he's like, why are you being so weird right now? I was just like, leave me alone. Like, let me have my moment.
Mm.
But yeah.
So that was, you felt weird waking up to that new experience, or this was before?
I think waking up to the new experience, because we needed to talk about it.
Absolutely.
So I was just like a little loopy and weird, but we finally talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. And he was he's just been so resistant. He's just like, we're friends. Like, we're friends. Like, this is not a good idea. Like, I've done this type of thing with friends before. And I was like, we're not friends. Like, you like me.
Mhm. Yeah, but that there's no container to hold it at that point because you're lying about being sexually attracted and all these other things and you're friends, so you don't have to have the attachment. And all of a sudden, no attachment is there, but you can have, sounds bad, but I guess I'm supposed to say it, but you can have all the goodies and the fun and the play without having this shame and guilt grab it as soon as you wake up the next morning.
Yeah. And I felt so free, and I've never felt free. And like, I think like doing all of the healing work has helped.
Right. So it's probably going to take a little bit of work for both of you to realize that this is real and start to be aware that you can have those things as a conscious choice as an adult
Yeah.
without anybody having to know anything about it and any shame or guilt coming in of, oh, you're a slut or your mother, what do your mothers think or whatever. And
Yeah.
in his world, he may have to now rub up all his other relationships against what he's sharing here and seeing that they're really not feeding him. They're just
Yeah.
attachment
Depleting.
based, but
Yeah.
he's staying as far away so that he can feel safe. And
Yeah.
that's the experience I think that most men have is they want this sexuality and the touch and the pleasure because they're lacking it and they have no way to get it. So they build this like container that's kind of half in, half out that
Yeah.
doesn't get into the marriage side and all this kind of stuff. And if women can understand that this is what's scaring men, because it feels like a cage all of a sudden, it's like, oh, I had sex the first time and now I got to get on the escalator. I don't even know
Right.
you yet. And
Right.
how can I do that? So I'll run away and it'll be a one night stand and then you'll be hurt because there was no space to explore the emotions that came up.
Yeah.
That's the morning after you're laying in bed and it's like, okay, I really enjoyed that, but can I have it again? Is this something that she wants? Has she judged me? How are we feeling about this? Does she want a ring on my finger, her finger? All of a sudden now you're free of 9 million different little fucked up things. And there's this vacuum inside. It's like, oh, we're just doing this for 3 months and we're going to talk about it all the way through. Like, how powerful is that? So that's that first
Powerful.
dip your toe in, because you do that anyways. You go 3 months with a guy just to see if the sex was good and had good friends and you had a resonance. But now there's a container and it says you can't fucking leave. We're going to come up with our traumas and triggers at the same time and we're going to deal with it. You can walk away for a day or whatever, but you got to come back and come in the ring with me and we're going to figure this shit out.
Yeah.
And
And
that's the person you're going to trust for the rest of your life. Well, that'll be a friend forever because
yeah.
that's the person you can go to and say, even if they got to the end and they said, you're not quite my type or whatever, but I loved everything that we shared and all this kind of stuff. I want to keep exploring. Do you want to? And come back in sometimes. Let's share or whatever, but I'm still in my exploring phase.
Yeah.
Then you're not feeling guilty and ashamed that you're attracted and you're not jealous because he's flirting just to see if something happens so that something can be built. And now you judge yourself and everybody's lost.
Exactly. And
And
no
he's
one.
lost too because he wasn't his fullness with you because he always had to keep an arm's length so that the stranglehold wasn't there.
He's still trying to, but I'm just like, you have no ring. Like, relax.
But you know he has multiple poles that are in his life and they have different hooks, but once he sees the freedom, he's going to choose the freedom or ask for that with them as well. And then maybe you build something that's more unconditionally loving where you can flow in and out of each other's lives and it's not a locked cage, but maybe you're living in the same place for that 3 months while you're sorting all this stuff out because you need that closeness.
Right.
And that could be the solution to another problem. But you'll feel it, you'll know it. It's not like a hook on. It's like, holy fuck, this was really fun and I enjoyed that and I want to get to know him better. And then it's not like, oh, I got some motive underneath that needs to be filled. It's like, no, I'm going with the flow and this is feeling really fun, so let's do it.
Yeah.
That's magic.
And there's just like no agenda, but just trust. I
Mhm.
think when, like, if this person is meant to be something great in your life, it's gonna happen. Like,
Mhm. And how many months of us talking about this did it take you to get comfortable with the idea? So just be aware he may need a little time.
yeah, like a few months. But yeah, like I think he's probably freaked out because this is new to him and unheard of, and I'm just like this different energetic being.
Mhm. So what would be a really good thing, and maybe we should touch base later today, is to put that on paper, what the relationship agreement is. What's our idea about STDs? What is our idea about other partners? How we're not agreeing, we may live in the same space for a while, but we're not agreeing to be married. After 3 months, we're going to have a come to Jesus or whatever you want to call it, a beautiful exploration. It's like 2 hours of how was this for you and what
Yeah.
bothered you and what's feeling good. Do we want to continue or how would that look? Maybe it's like, okay, we need a little more space because I need to find myself a little bit more. But maybe you already got somebody over there and that's a beautiful pull this way. And then you come back in 6 months or 10 years or whatever. That's what I see comes out of a sharing to that depth, and a new form of friendship comes that's not the uh, friends with benefits, oh that's icky or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, because he was like, so what is this? Like a friends with benefits, like no strings attached? And I was like, no, this is what it is.
this is us sharing unconditional love with each other and our bodies and our souls and seeing what shows up,
Exactly.
because the minute anything has to have a meaning is an attachment and then you're fucked,
Yeah.
unfucked, whatever you want to call
Yeah. There's an ideology, and you're like, and then that programs you out of the present. You're like thinking about the past, how this worked out in the past, or
it.
anticipating some future.
Event, and you have no freaking idea where any of it's going to land.
No, it's like, I feel like, like this is God's creation at the end of the day. Like,
Mm-hmm. And having two people come together and share pleasure and all that kind of stuff, what could be bad about that?
yeah.
There's an innocence underneath that, and all the stories and all the other stuff takes away the innocence, which creates a heaviness or a expectation attachment, which is
Attachment.
not
Yeah.
usable.
Yeah.
Cool. So you got some beautiful negotiations to go on, but I'd say get that on paper. I'd love to put that together. We'll add both of ours and we'll share it with people. Like here's a 3 months relationship agreement. Contract is just like I agree to be all in. Do you agree to be all in? I agree to talk about anything. I agree that there's a 2 day waiting period when we're really triggered or something.
Hmm.
Um, just simple things like that. But then the agreement is that after that 48 hours exactly, you're going to have to make time to talk.
Hmm.
And then poof, it comes out. It's like, you remind me of my ex. And I'm so angry. And why you keep doing that? And then you find out it wasn't even you. It's just you had that energy of reflection that was giving him an opportunity to earth that up and resolve it.
Yeah.
And what kind of partner would he be? He could be a different person. You could be a completely different person after 3 months because fuck the shit that's going to come out of the manure pile. It's not going to be stinky afterwards. So how's that keeping us away from people? How's that keep stopping us from doing things?
Yeah.
I did something, I shared it with you, not completely similar, but somebody that I had in my life sexually, and then they hurt me a while back. And she described it as the best thing I could have ever done was to let her go and just enforce that boundary for almost 10 months. She says, oh, I found my way. And she started a divorce and all this kind of stuff. And I was sitting there and it was like, oh, this person just keeps hurting me, but it's the only sexuality I could have in my life right now. Every time I try, it's not working out. And finally, I just released the fucking judgment and said, I need touch. And so I called her up. We were going to go kayaking because we were just starting to talk again. And I said, I'm feeling very sexual this morning. How are you feeling? And she's like, let's talk in person. She's kind of held her ground and stuff. And we sat and she was all guilty and ashamed that she'd hurt me and wanted to make amends of that before anything went forward. And then it went into something so soft. I wouldn't even call it fully sexual. It was just like cuddling and being naked with another person and yes, touching genitals and exploring that. And it was kind of like an art form. It was like paintbrushes on each other's canvas. And it was so crazy because well sexuality for most people is like an erection and penetration and all this kind of we couldn't even get there. My heart was so centered and I was feeling the pleasure so fully, but I couldn't get that hardness, which in older men, that's everybody says that's a Viagra problem or whatever. No, that's the heart needing to be part of it, and that pleasure and looking into the eyes and touching and sensuality and all that kind of stuff. And now it's just kind of like this writhingness where you're just like, oh, I want to touch this and I want to try this and I want to feel that. And it has nothing to do with ejaculation or any of that stuff. And there's this beautiful softness. It's not all energetic. Like right now, we need to ground our nervous system. So sharing that pleasure that you had, how much did that ground your nervous system? Now all of a sudden it's like, holy fuck, I'm just really here.
Yeah, it grounded me a lot.
As a woman, because you're already less grounded and more airy, which is normal for a woman, it's not a judgment. It must have been you were just like up there and like flittering around, and then all of a sudden this hand or this sexuality or this lingam came in and it's just like, oof, right here now. And then you're exploring from that point. And for me, I'm in the heaviness and the density or whatever, and I need that lightness to start to open me and like water me like a flower.
Yeah.
And then the hard earth starts to come, and then my heart opens. So that's where it's switching to, right? That openness, that being and allowing with no judgment or
Genuinely in the present, like with no agenda. Huh?
You said president. I know you meant present. It was
genuinely in the present with no agenda.
Yeah. You think that's something that you continue?
We'll see.
We'll see. Awesome.
Yeah.
You're smiling.
Yeah, I mean, because this is like also the person that is not in my type, you know, like, so I'm not making the same behavioral patterns.
What a perfect person to go into the 3-month agreement with, right? Try something new.
And yeah, like the healing has helped so much building up to this moment, that like, you know, I have a foundation of self-love, like that goes for me, that I can only give to me.
Beautiful. And seeing that agreement on paper, I think would be huge for him. Because it's something he can hold you to, and because
vice versa.
Sometime in feminine energy, they can flitter around and change their mind and twist words because the reception is different. And I'm not blaming women. It's just once it's on paper and you're there and you can go back to it and say, I'm holding your feet to the fire, even though this doesn't serve me, but I'm doing it. I think that would be huge, because it'll be like, holy fuck, it's in paper and this is true. She can't back out. You can still back out whatever you want, but you're the only one that loses.
Right.
So just the thought. It's so amazing that you did it and you felt so good. I'm like, wow. And do you know how much you're giving permission to other women to maybe explore this? And they're living vicariously through you trying to do this.
Yeah.
And they're going to say, I fucking want that. And then they can see how simple it was. And you just smiled and opened, and you just mentioned something that felt uncomfortable, but it gave you this opening to something that's way less tight. You broke out of the cage, and you're like, oh, this is hard. I'm going to say it. And, even if he's scared. And he's like, what the fuck? Is this real? This is like a dream. This is my dream of what I've always wanted. But you want it for you, because that tight container is going to let you be your fullest expression of self, be your emotional, be your scared, be your angry, be your whatever, but in a container that allows him to interpret it and where you sit.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how many guys have went through and held really strong emotion for girls or whatever, and then felt used afterwards, and he held space or whatever, and she didn't feel comfortable because that felt like a deeper level of commitment, but all she wanted was to let that go? Look at the fucked up stuff that's inside all that. So how many times do we run away when it was actually good, but it was too intense, and now you had no space to be able to open it, and it scared the hell out of you?
Yeah.
And then it becomes a trauma and nobody wins.
So yeah, it continues with the story. Like, absolutely. Oh, see, this always happens.
Exactly. Cool. Oh, God. You got some adventures to do. But just always remember, how good did it feel in comparison to the hardness? And how did it open your possibility?
Oh my God, I felt so great.
Absolutely. So stay there.
And all it took was me speaking my truth.
You thought you were going to die at the time, and last time this wasn't going to work out, but you found someone to share it with.
Yeah. And like, he's not like obviously dating in a dating mode. He's just like plowing through women, whatever. But,
I love it.
but like, like, even yesterday, like, I was just like, I want you to take me out on a date. And first she was like, no. And I got offended. And I was like, I feel very offended. And like I told him, and he's like, why didn't you tell me like a few days ago? And I was like, well, I'm telling you now. Like I brought something cute. Like take me out. Like what's the problem?
Mhm.
And I just learned, like I remembered in this book, like, you know, you can't be a squeaky clean wheel. You gotta like
Mhm.
say what you want and not be
You,
afraid to get rejected. Because
you
like
want,
when
yep.
he said no, like I felt that in my like chest, like
Yeah. But that was you standing in your power,
yes,
probably one of the first times
yes,
that challenged,
yes,
and you responded, which probably turned him on like you would not believe. And he
yeah.
sat
And
with
then
it.
we like got like food, and then he was like trying to ask me what I got, and I was just like, I'm not telling you.
Well, you were playing the masculine for a little bit. It's okay. What, did you whisper it into the waiter's ear or what?
No, we ordered separately
Oh, okay.
because it was like he was like, no, we're not going out, and so that's when we got food, and I was annoyed.
Hmm. So did it turn into a date?
Yes, it kind of like we already ate and like we got a drink, but like he like took me to some stupid dive bar and I was just annoyed with that. And I was like, I'm wearing this and you decided to take me here.
Hmm.
Like
Okay, so he did everything wrong and somehow it turned out to something better. What was the progression?
just we just talked. Like it was we were just talking.
To be a date,
Hmm.
there's a frame that you have to fit in,
Hmm.
which he wasn't prepared to go to, be nice and go to a nice place and pay for the food and all that kind of stuff. And he was resisting it, and you were resisting it.
He was resisting it.
Well, you were resisting that he wasn't lining up to it and
Yes,
agreeing.
yes.
So some of that anger wasn't even against your power. It was you trying to fit to the old attachment style of here's how a date looks, and he just does. And then you feel met and you feel worshipped and whatever. But he purposely chose all the places that wouldn't have that, which took you all both out of the box.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you don't have to say, but how, like, you were pissed off and it progressed to something very beautiful. How did that shift? Just share whatever feels safe.
I think because like I could still read his energy. Like,
So he was underneath still wanting you, desiring you,
yeah,
feeling that attraction.
yeah. And like we took like a stroll through the park and like I had my hand
Under his arm, yeah.
yeah. Um, um, um,
Hmm. And then the avalanche happened from there. But the agreement thing had to come before all that too, right?
yeah, yes.
And you felt safe enough to do it, and it gave him an opening that probably wouldn't have existed otherwise, because it sounds like all the energies were kind of clamped off uh, for him to feel safe.
Yeah.
But you read the energy and you saw what was underneath it and trusted that something more was possible, and teased him out.
Yeah.
And it wasn't bait. It was like, here is, I'm going to soften my boundaries, but they're actually really firm once we come into the agreement. But I'm going to soften my boundaries and permit us to have sexuality, to feel those feelings, but within this container.
Yeah.
Where do we have a place to do that? Otherwise, we're judged and we're feeling like shamed afterwards, or the morning after. Like you said, nobody could figure out what the fuck just happened because it was such an open space, right? Like magic. that was all because you were willing to have that possibility.
To speak it. Yeah.
Cool. So amazing, that container. Can you imagine what you can get through with containers that are held like that?
A lot.
And the only person that opened it was to you, and it was like an invitation, and he came in and he said, oh, this is different, this feels safe. And he obviously, it felt safe enough to go to something more intimate. And then the next morning it was like, normally you wake up with, oh fuck, how soon is she going to get out of my bed, and how's this going to look, and is she going to ask me to phone her later or text her? And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I only want to do those things if I feel like it and I'm excited by it. And you should only want that too.
Yeah.
But if it's like, oh, he's only going to love me if he texts me a sexy sext or whatever through the day, and then you're getting angry and frustrated because it didn't happen, but there was no statement of expectation, so you're bumping for start, excuse my French. And this is just like, okay, I would really enjoy sending her a text and see if that turns around some more, or I would really like that. And then you're following the energy and it's like, ooh, this feels way better than the old way.
Exactly. Yeah. Cause like it's like for both men and women, like, it's like, okay, I know that I need to be like a trained SEAL. And if I do these behaviors, whether I want to do them or not, like that's what I have to do to stay afloat. And it's like dense and weighed down.
Because it's from attachment. I can only feel good if you feel good about me, or you're the one, or you're radiating those energies. And then they're feeling like this, and it's like, oh fuck, I'm only going to keep her happy by doing all these things, and you don't even know what it is. We as the man are fucked in that place because we don't have any idea. It's like either happy puppy mode, I'm always wrong, oh, I'm sorry I wronged you, or whatever, or I'm an asshole and said, no, you're going to get it when I call you, or whatever, which feels really negative to you because I put up this really strong boundary, and then you're not feeling the energy.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm just sitting here with all this, and it's just like, where the fuck does this all come from? Because I can see relationships underneath, but those aren't my relationships where it's all needy and stuff like that. I just see the energy of the collective and how mangled it is. And we're building these new containers to explore it in a new way and to feel good about it, and then build supportive community where it's normal. Are you on your 3-month contract or not? Or have you got that to that place? And how's it been going? And is there anything that you need the community to support you in because it's too intense? I love that place. That's the place that lives in my heart. That's the relationship. No wonder I can't find relationship now, because there's too much intensity in my ask. But there is no intensity at all. It's just like breaking down all the rules, and it doesn't feel clingy or contained. I don't know how to describe it, because that's what I see most of the time. It's like, I'm dating you, and it's like, oh, here's my circle around you, and you're not allowed to do anything or go out with friends or whatever, because that would bang up against the wounds.
Yeah, the wounds would. Yeah.
And then I'm going to have equal and opposite wounds because I've been controlled too much. The thing I always talk about my relationships, there's always an ulterior motive. And that's exactly what we're talking about. It's like, feed me, make me safe, make me whatever, which are all the societally trained things, make me feel like Cinderella. And it wasn't said. It wasn't said, how can I make you feel like Cinderella? How does that what do you need to make you feel that way? And then it's like, okay, yeah, I can send you a text once in a while or whatever. Or if I got to suck your toes or whatever that thing is based on your experience. Because some women would, it'd be like a foot fetish thing of the slipper being put on, and the only way you can trigger that was, I don't understand foot fetishes, but some of those things create that.
Yeah.
So it's in the softness, it's in the allowing, it's in interpreting the energies as they show up in the purity of how they show up, and nothing else.
Agreed.
Because everything else just adds, and it gets all mangled up in this progression of where it's supposed to go, the programming, when it's really got no destination at all. Just explore it.
Yeah.
And that's love. Anything else is like, I love you as long as you only be with me. I love you as long as you have sex with me. I love you as long as you buy me food or take me out on dates or whatever.
Yeah.
It just puts an if on everything. And it's like, okay, well, what if we just share it and there's no worry about balance? There's no worry about whatever. And guess what? That person's only going to come back if you gave at the same time as they gave. And there was a balance there. And if there was an imbalance, why? Why did you only give and not ask to receive? Why did you not use your words? Why did you not? You take a part in that, but because you've only received it before in that way, oh, I'm stuck here. It's like, no, I want you to touch my genitals while I'm touching your genitals, and I want to kiss you. And yeah, sometimes it's good if one person's giving oral and the other person just receiving, but sometimes it's good to do it together. Sometimes it's good to flip it or whatever. And if you didn't get what you wanted and you never said a word, you did it yourself.
Yeah. I had this tea, like a quote from a tea bag, which fits in with this so perfectly, that says, "Life is a flow of love. Your participation is requested."
Mhm. And if anything doesn't feel like love, why? What in your thought? Why is this not love? Oh, this is darkness. Oh, they're hurting me. This is sad. This is bad. This is awful.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all judgments.
Yes.
I've only experienced this and it's bad. So how would you know it's bad? It's like, okay, well, what did you want? Did you ask for it? How many times you went on a date and you hope for sex or whatever and it never got there because you were waiting for him to start
Yeah.
and everybody went home frustrated?
Yeah. Or like unspoken of whatever had come up. Like, hey, this is how I felt. Like, how did you feel?
Yeah. Or he's attempting anal sex or something without your permission or whatever. And there's like, oh, you violated me. But maybe his last girlfriend did that or whatever. It's just look at all the little facets of all those things, the dirtiness and the judgment of that type of act. And all of a sudden it's like, can you even ask for it? So then they're asking without asking by trying and waiting for a response, but sometime a person might just allow it and it hurt like hell and I'm never going to do this again or whatever, when you could have said, no, not today, buddy. There's a perfectly good other place. Let's go there. That's how stupid all this shit is.
Yeah. I mean, we've been operating from a like, we could be 30, 40, 50 plus and still operate from like a 10-year-old
So
perspective.
this might be a little deeper than you want to go, but Zana said, hi guys. Would you be okay asking for your kinks with this guy?
Oh yeah, he put it all out on the table
Mhm.
yesterday. But I don't know what my kinks are. Like, so I don't, but yeah.
Would you be willing to go to scary places, like to let him tie you up while he blindfolds you?
Mm-hmm.
Scary as hell, right? But that's a trust, that's a container. But how many people go into their relationship and they're married for 30 years and they really want to be tied up and they really want to have a blindfold so that they're out of control and they can experience that for once?
Yeah.
That should be part of the relationship agreements as well. What are your kinks? It's like, oh, I really like my toes sucked, or I really like playing with buttholes or something. And those are all dirty or scary or whatever. But they may be like, holy fuck, I didn't know you like that. Oh, we're gonna have some fun, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you put it on the table. If it's like a hard no, more than likely there's a trauma there. But guess what? All of a sudden you're in the middle of something else and something gets bumped and it's like, oh, that felt good. Let's go there for a sec. And then some trauma comes up and some crying and tears. And then next thing you know, it's like all in. I'm doing that every time from now on. That's how simple some of those things are.
Yeah. Um yesterday he was like so hesitant. Like I knew the pull, I felt the pull, but he was so hesitant. And even when things were proceeding and afterwards he's like, I didn't expect that from you. Like to be that good. And I'm like,
Wow. And all it required, you probably could have moved him faster if you asked and gave lots of permission. I want you to go downtown right now. I'm feeling it, or I want this, or squeeze my nipple, or whatever. Because
Yeah.
in the moment, you're the only one that can ask for it. But the minute he has permission, you're opening a boundary, because somebody that's free and open as you feels terrifying, because the boundaries are wide open, but you're okay to say your no in that moment. So it's like if he's chasing up the back end and you're like, nah, not today, but maybe some other day.
Yeah.
You've said it, and now he's going to have a clear boundary and he's going to feel safe of how to deal with that.
Yeah.
And then it'll be like, oh, well, what if it's a tongue instead, or a finger, or whatever? Oh, it's like, ooh, yeah, okay, good. But you're the only one that guides what's next. And to guess that that other person's going to have the same kink as you, or whatever, without you kind of going there. But there's no shame in it. It's like, no, I don't really like bondage. It scares me a little bit.
Yeah.
Hey, well, sometime later, when maybe it feels good, what if I just put one handcuff on the corner and see how that felt?
Yes.
I'd love to explore that energy with you so that you can understand that, because it's a part of you that's turned off and says that's scary. But that may be part of a rape. That may be part of being caught by the police, or whatever. Look at the playground that we're in, and all it takes is a yes. And going back to my Tantra workshop and stuff like that, I thought I was going into a container like that with people that were able to give their no's and yeses. But I can go back and look at every circumstance I had, and I will guarantee that I didn't do anything that I didn't feel the energy leading towards. And when it did lead to something different, like I put one point, I know I put my hand on a woman's chest. We were kissing on the neck, and it was growly and all this kind of stuff. And I wanted to advance the energy, and I felt it. And I kind of put my hand there, and I said, does this feel good? And she couldn't even respond. And it's like, okay, obviously we're not going to do that, right? Because I didn't get her permission. I was following the energy. So is that a violation, or is that me honoring her to see? And that's probably exactly what she needed. That triggered somebody choking her or whatever. And in that moment, she was experiencing that event, but it wasn't me, because I asked. It wasn't like ugh, or something immediately. It was like, put my hand here, and it's like, is this what something you want? And the minute there couldn't be a word, it was a solid no. And I have that choice in every moment too, to progress while checking.
Yeah.
But to say, stop all the energy, can I touch your neck? Is this okay, or whatever? It would totally break the energy and the flow. So how does a man progress in that point? Go there and say, is this okay? It's like, if they can't respond, it's like, okay, stop. And that's what you were doing. But you can say your yeses and nos. He's like tentative, and it's like, okay, make an
It was
invitation.
very vocal.
Yeah.
Very
Well,
vocal.
make the invitation next time to do something that's edgy for you, and you wouldn't think he'd ever want.
Okay.
And watch the container grow. Is this something that you want? And be the asker instead of him trying to figure out.
Yeah.
And then he's going to see your levels, and take it to levels that it's like, ooh, fuck, this is even edgy for me, but I really want to experience in my lifetime. And then it may be part of your whole sexuality going forward. People have, based on their traumas, they have kink. People like to be let out blood and have hooks under their skin and muscles, and just torturous stuff, but their pain is locked to their pleasure and their orgasm and all these kind of things. And if you can't go there, and you can't find somebody that's there to explore it with, you really can't see yourself. You're not seeing the fullness of your possibility. So I'm just hoping that people are listening and seeing this for themselves, like how they've let themselves down over and over and over again, and how open they're willing. And I think we should do a full live. Maybe we'll prepare some stuff, but in a few weeks, where maybe it's a training. It's like, okay, here's how partners come together. It's like, hey, you meet somebody at the bar, and this is blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you're wanting something more, and you make a suggestion. How do you suggest it? What's the 3-month relationship agreement? How does this work? And this is us taking our masks off and going deep, but in a container where nobody can run away.
Yeah.
And they're going to be like, holy fuck, this is scary, or whatever. And they may not want it that first time, but afterwards they're going to sit and they're going to say, this is all fucking hollow. All this shit of going in with no, somebody runs away all the time, and you don't know if you did bad or good, and you're judging yourself, where this container just shines light on both sides until everybody looks at their whys. And the worst ones or the hardest ones are gonna be sexuality, self-love, boundaries, and working with your traumas. Because sexuality, how do you get to sexuality? What's okay? And how am I safe? And blah, 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 blah. And then self-love is like, okay, giving and receiving, trusting and balance, all this kind of stuff. Once you're in your traumas, all of a sudden new energies come up from old situations and all this kind of stuff. Oh, and communication is another one, because you're going to have to learn to communicate. That felt good. That scared the fucking hell out of me. I'm triggered. Can you hold me for a few minutes? Can you imagine if you're completely triggered and that person you trusted enough, like he felt your trigger, he felt your energy, and he said, just lay on my shoulder. Breathe, breathe, let me hold your body. Now, what are you feeling? All of a sudden, your body's just like instant fight or flight, and you got the security blanket over top of you. And you're like, oh, this feels good. Okay, I'm feeling this. My dad touched me, or this happened. How else are you going to get that? Is to build a bond with a person where you can go to that depth and anything's okay. And it's not okay if you put a bunch of rules around it, or this opens me up too much, or this scares me, or maybe she'll want more into my life, or this is too vulnerable for a man. Those are all stories that fucked us out of something deeper.
Yeah. Interesting.
So we're gonna have to change the name of this live a little bit, because it went deeply into relationship agreements and
Attachment to relationship agreements. Yeah.
And you don't feel the slightest bit shameful, guilty, slutty, anything for asking for yourself, do you? Beautiful.
At all.
At all. Because you didn't put anybody in the judgment of what you just did. It's only you and that person.
Yeah.
And you held yourself accountable. Your mother didn't get to decide. Your grandma didn't get to decide what your friends are going to think. Do you even want to tell your friends? What the fuck?
They're all stoked.
Well, but it's not part of anything that they need to know.
Right.
Or that decision for you.
Yeah.
So cool. So I'm excited to see what shows up. That we'll just continue, finish there. I got one other thing to. So going back to my experience with the Tantra community, it was quite funny. It was like I went through all the hoops and met his girlfriend and got counseled by her. And she said, you got all the right tools and you're speaking well and you have full awareness of how you were received by the women and what you felt and all this kind of shit, which most people don't, apparently. So basically I passed his test. And so he sends me this text message and says, I'm sorry that you won't continue on with the community, because I said I just wouldn't go back to a place like that or whatever. And thank you for sharing. I put a text into the community and said, okay, if any harm was done, I'm open and willing to speak to that, and made an open invitation. And even if you're scared, send it to me anonymously. Oh, he's really early. I'm gonna have to head out in a minute, but I got a little bug floating around. What I found in me is that in my rawness and looking at every part of me, I have the ability to trigger other people. I shine light into that same spot in them, which is their trauma. And it's not actually in all cases the trauma with me. It's just I carry an energy which activates that, and it makes it alive in that moment. Now, making the choice not to speak about what was alive in that moment is a loss of a gift, because really there's a trigger, the energetic system, like it touching like this or whatever, there's a trigger in that moment. We should be able to have a space. And I thought that this community was that, to have a space to say something feels off, I'm uncomfortable, can we talk about this? And we should be able to step out of the group and process that energy until the energy is not there. But if it's left and not dealt with, which a lot of Tantra activities, like when you're doing couples and you're switching every 5 minutes to a different partner and stuff like that, there's sometimes not a chance to do that. So afterward, the processing comes, and then you share it with another person, and then they're like, what's your perspective of this person? And I had this experience, but the energy, there's no held container anymore, because I'll tell you right now, when you're in your trauma, your subconscious aligns whatever's going on to that trauma. So it's kind of like comparing what my energy was with what their perpetrator was, and then it gets all mixed. And then when another person shares, the energy gets mixed, and then the real event isn't held accountable anymore. So it's like, I don't know how big the story was of what happened, but I cannot go back to an incident where anybody yelled at me or looked triggered or I somehow damaged. So now I'm looking at, okay, the community is protecting people in that trigger, which is protecting them in victim because they're not having an opportunity to speak of the energies with the actual person. So by using confidentiality, we end up with a situation where the community shuts down and says, you're not worthy or you're not good. But I can fully, in absolute integrity, say that I provided a gift to every person that I was with, and that balance may have been in trigger. That balance may have been taking them back to a situation that was uncomfortable, and I would have held space for it, but the container didn't allow that. So we both lost because there was something in me that could have been reflected from her about my victimness with women. But I don't even have that. I'm not even consciously aware that I victimized in any way, shape, or form because it wasn't brought up. And it could have been so soft, just like I said, just the touch, right? Bumped a breast while I was touching the side of her body or whatever. It wasn't a grope or anything like that. It was just accidental. It happened. And then when you look and the container doesn't have a supportive way to deal with those energies, who do they speak to? They speak to the leader. The leader then has this confidentiality thing or whatever. And then they speak with other people and get 4 or 5 people that had similar triggering experiences. I can speak to every person in that community. And I knew the ones that were scary to me were unsafe. There was some that I went up to one woman and it was like, go up and beside someone that you feel unsafe with or scared of. And she's like, really? You feel scared of me? And it's like, yes. It's like there's something in there that's unsaid that makes me not want to speak. And other people, it's like, okay, I could see their experiences going on other places, and it happened. And there's this final rule that I want to get your perspective on really quick, but it was you can't share about anybody else's experience, which I generally agree with. It's like, I can't speak to you and say, okay, XYZ did this or whatever, and I judge their experience this way because that doesn't feel safe, right? All you can do is speak about your experience. If like I had an experience with, you wouldn't even say the name, and this is what my perspective of it was. Well, guess what? By me being rejected by that community, did they not actually violate that? They spoke openly about my experience in a forum with the leader to create a judgment of who I was without even my perspective. So is that not violated?
Yeah, that's true.
So the container broke. And in that case, the only 2 people that could talk about that experience are the people that experienced it. And the minute you talk about it with a leader or whatever you're sharing of that other person's experience, he had an energy of, and he did this or he did that. That's not speaking about your experience. It should be, I felt violated in that moment, maybe when his hand came on my neck and it made me think of my trauma. But did he actually do a trauma to you? No, he activated, but now he's the perpetrator because he was sharing in that energy with you. So I was so hurt and so victimized and so violated by this before. And now I'm looking at it and saying, the gifts weren't taken. By the way, the container was there, the gifts weren't taken. There was a gift waiting for me from each of those interactions that have been kept from me and said that that makes me not safe. I'm not safe with anybody because you know me. I'll go down the rabbit hole and anything that you say and hold you accountable for it, which in not a bad way. It's just like, do you want to talk about this? And are you okay with that? That's just like your friend. You're telling them things and then they hated you afterwards because you were too close to the truth and you saw through them. I stand in that power. And I hope people can see this because that's something that happened to me 3 years ago and it made me question every facet of who I was. And it had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with the victim that they were in and their unwillingness to talk about it in a shared safe space. And I can talk about anything. I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't want to, trigger's going to come up. I might want to go in the corner and scream while we're talking because you got me going there, but it says nothing about you. It's just the energy's present and you've given me the gift of opening that. And this is a very high level gift that most people won't understand, but who in your life triggers the fuck out of you, and you kind of keep arm's length from them because they're giving you truth and honesty, but that doesn't feel good. But really, the very thing that's our struggle and our sadness and our fear is not approaching and making friends with what doesn't feel good. And having somebody to hold you in that container and say, okay, this doesn't feel good. I felt it too. What's there? Tell me about it. And that sometimes can be the most beautiful thing when it's two strangers and you never have to have a relationship or talk to them again, is to be able to share that vulnerability or maybe a bit of trauma so that you don't have to look at that person again and be reminded of it. So that was my growth underneath. I don't know how to iterate it back to the person that I had this experience with, but it's so much more pure now. It's not angry. It's not like, oh, everybody's hurting me and this is dark or whatever. No, it's like we shared some gifts. Their very traumas aren't allowing the gifts back in because they judged them as something else. And I can't change that. So yeah, it's fucking hard to get to that level and see that awareness and hold yourself accountable and see the fire and the light and your feet burning.
That's what we do the work for.
That's what we do the work for. I got to get going because my guy has got a table already. So
Okay, wonderful.
we will talk more soon. And I'm waiting to hear more of the adventures of Anya the Fantastic.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your support. Do you realize how many people's lives you just change by speaking of your experience and getting past the shame and guilt of it? It's off the chart.
I hope so.
Because there's no dirtiness, there's no weirdness.
No,
It's just
not at all.
Anya completely in flow and asking for what she wants, and she's getting fed. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's like soul.
You're an example to me. Trust me, I got some big ass to come up here in my future. So
Wow, that's cool.
cool.
Thank you.
Thank you all for listening, and hopefully this wasn't too intense. And this is like gold. So thank you. Have fun. Keep smiling. Talk to you soon.
Bye.